Well, I did make one solemn prayer to the spirit of Ted that I wouldn't go over time, so if I do, it's Ted's fault. My name is Mike. About 8 years ago, my wife and I chose to move from the inner city of Chicago to the inner city of a small town here in southern Norway. It was quite a culture shock for us all. It's been an amazing, crazy journey with lots of amazing moments. One of those moments was in 2007. My son Charlie got a skateboard for Christmas. He got it, and somehow it just connected with him in a really special way. So I took him over to the local concrete park, and he began to learn how to drop in, which drop in means you drop in, basically, to a ramp, and you get a lot of speed. But in dropping in, you fall, and you hit your elbows, you hit your knees. He had elbows that my wife would thought was going to be deformed for the rest of his life. But eventually, he made it. He had just the right balance, and he sped down this quarter pipe, down a bank, up a thing, raced around the skate park, and came flying back to me. And he said, "Dad, I feel like I'm flying." It was an amazing moment for me then, because I knew he was flying. He was defying all the laws of nature. Everything that was not possible just moments before became possible. And in his face, I could tell he was hooked. He was hooked to this thing. And more than that, as a father watching him, I was hooked. I was hooked in trying to keep him grounded in this newfound freedom of flight that he had. But of course, things like gravity and weather have a way of challenging our ability to fly. And soon in Kristiansand, where we're from, it snowed so much that we couldn't skate anymore. So I called around to try to find an indoor facility for my son to fly. To my dismay, in all of South Norway, there were no indoor facilities for these kids. And I found myself thrust into the skate culture and getting to know tons of kids that had the same passion with no hope of being able to pursue it. And I felt in my heart that that was wrong. And I had a moment, one of those moments where when you're in history or you're in front of something and you can make a choice to be a part of something or you can make a choice to not be part of something. And looking at all these kids, I felt compelled that I had to do something. But what to do was a big question, because oftentimes I think as adults when we're really encountering alternative, passionate youth culture, sadly, we tend to try to contain and pacify it. And what I mean by that is, for instance, with skateboarding, what we'll do is we'll gather some funds and we'll build a small little outdoor skate park where we can contain the kids. We know where they are, and we get them away from the places we don't want them. And then we pacify them. We spend a little money, we make them something, we say, "Here's your place, now go there and mostly just leave us alone." But youth culture and youth passion should never be contained or pacified. It should be engaged, empowered, inspired, and unleashed. And on those principles, we began to work really hard to build Vision Skate Park, which is one of Norway's largest indoor facilities. We partnered with the local government, we partnered with businesses, we partnered with lots of crazy little skater boys and scooter boys, and we opened this park about 5 years ago. We always have full-time staff there. There's always someone there to engage them, to be good role models for them. It's been a crazy 5 years, honestly. We've had to fight tooth and nail for every amount of financing we can. We have to work crazy hours to build crazy things. And I tell you, it's not easy to help skater boys get along with scooter boys. There's something there. But I tell you, it's worth it. When you see boys become men and they have a vision for the future. But in that process, I realized that they needed a whole lot more than that. And I also saw lots of other amazing, passionate youth cultures that needed to be engaged and unleashed. And so we started this idea of Flipside Camp, where this last summer, we brought kids from all over Norway and Scandinavia to one place with world-class facilities where they could focus on the things that they're passionate about, like skateboarding, scooting, BMXing, but we also included music production, art, creativity, multimedia, things like that. And at our core, it's about engagement. And what I mean by engagement is we want to know them. We want to have the time to be with these cultures and know what's burning in their hearts and what's motivating their dreams. When we know that, when we're involved with what they're doing, then we can start to create a community of inspiration around them, a community of their peers that are pursuing the same thing with the same passion. Other peers that are pursuing other things with passion, because that's also inspiring. And we create this cross-activity respect, which will have ripple effects throughout the whole world. Thank you. Okay, you really messed me up. But what did I just say? We created. We're bringing them together, and we believe by putting them in community with their peers, but also with mentors. A lot of times we as adults or older people that are over 20 maybe, feel like our impact into younger kids' lives becomes more and more obsolete, but it's not true. So we want to bring older people that are into these things and engage the younger kids so they begin to have that kind of intergenerational contact. But then also we bring in professionals, world-class professionals, to inspire these kids to the very extremes of where they can take their passions. This last summer, there's this one kid, I think he was 12 or 13 years old, and he was trying all week to learn to do a backflip. And we do a lot with aerial awareness, so he was using trampolines and mats, and he was just trying to get his body to go backwards, which is not easy to do. But he just couldn't seem to do it. But that same week, we had a guy named Harry Main, who's one of the top 5 BMXers in the world. And he was there just engaging the kids, challenging them, inspiring them. The last night, this kid came running up to me. His eyes and his face was just a bright. He's like, Mike, I did a backflip into the foam pit with my BMX bike. And I was like, what? How'd you do that? And he was like, I was standing up on the ramp. And then as he was talking to me, he just started talking into space. He's like, Mike, I was standing on the ramp and I was up there and I wasn't going to do it, but Harry Main was there. And Harry Main said to me, go for it. And when Harry Main tells you to go for it, you got to go for it. And I did it. And it was amazing. And in his face, you could see it was this transition from what was impossible to what was possible. That he was enabled in that process because he had time, he had involvement, he had inspiration, and he had a foam pit. Proper facilities, and it's really important to have a foam pit when you're trying to do a backflip with a BMX bike. When I see these kids over and over again, I'm so amazingly blown away by their passion, by their ability to be self-disciplined, by their incredible focus, their insatiable passion for innovation. And it's that out-of-the-box kind of thinking that we desperately need in our world. And that's why me, as a 44-year-old, am committed to being a part of this process as long as it goes, as crazy it gets, as out of control as it seems, because I know that the next generation of engineers, of environmental workers, the next generation of musicians and poets, the next generation of entrepreneurs are out there trying to learn, I don't know why I'm crying, but they're out there trying to learn kickflips out in the streets. They're trying to jump over benches on BMX bikes, and they're waiting for a place to be, and they're waiting for us to come around them and unleash their potential. Thank you.